Hello, I hope everybody has had a really good week and is having a good day. I am, no one else is on the call right now. I'm going to go ahead and do this. It's going to be really short because I'm not going to have a lot of interaction, and that is totally fine. One thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about the final for this class. For this class, we are going to be having a final. We're required to have a final. And if you do not choose to do the final, you will lose a full letter grade according to department policy. What I will be doing is on the first day of final week, I will send out to everybody a link to the final questions and open that up for you to submit the final questions. And you will have the 5 full days of finals week to answer the questions. And finals week is over midnight, May 3rd. So there are 4 questions that deal with your work within this class, that deal with what you've learned basically in the class and how that's changed you or helped you or hopefully not inhibited you as an artist in the program. And those questions I will not be releasing before the final. I will release them by midnight on that Sunday night. So you'll have access to them first thing Monday morning during finals week. Again, you will need to answer them, then submit them as a written form before midnight, the last day of finals week. If you have questions about like that or anything, please feel free to ask them through email, and we will get that taken care of as soon as possible. I am still catching up on grading. I'm sorry I did not finish that last week. I had an emergency come up and I was not able to access the internet for several days, but I am working on that. So hopefully by tomorrow night, everything that has been turned in so far will be graded. That way you guys have as much opportunity as possible to make changes and turn things in. If for any reason you are not able to get everything done by the end of the term, please let me know as soon as you can. We want to make sure that this is, everybody has the best chance as possible for student success. You will also notice that in the final, there is a section, there is a module labeled final. In that, there is a section about the student SRI. And the student SRI is something that you will, it's the student review. The student SRI is something that you can find in your interface page when you first log into Canvas. And it's up at the top right-hand corner. You just follow the prompts and you should be able to get to it fairly easily. If you fill that out and you don't tell me, don't give me any of the answers or anything like that, what you will do is take a picture of your completed receipt after you're all done. There's a final page that says that you've completed it for this course. To just take a screenshot of that and send me that. And you will submit that in the submission portion of the assignment. You don't get any points for it, but you do get a 2% increase in your final grade. And that is usually enough to bump you up a half letter grade. So those are the 2 big important things: the increase from the SRI for one thing, as well as the full letter grade decrease if you miss the final. I know that there's a number of students who are having issues with international stuff. Please just keep me in the loop, keep me informed, and I do have a little bit of flexibility that I can help you with. If it gets to be a big situation, I would recommend going to the accommodations office and just asking them what you can do. They usually are really good at helping students to as much as possible so that they can succeed. If you happen to get somebody who is a student employee who's not answering your questions, politely insist on talking to somebody who is one of the full-time staff. Usually that if you are polite and you are kind, then everybody you interact with there in that office will respond the same way. They will respond as politely and kindly as they possibly can. So again, almost all the students are really acceptable. I've never had a bad experience, but in the odd case that there is a student employee that is not helping you, ask very nicely and kindly to speak to one of the full-time staff, and they should be able to help you. If not, they can at least provide some suggestions that might be able to help. We've had 2 artistic critiques turned in, and I wanted to watch them with you right now, and then I'll talk about the things that are really good in them. And if I'm going to assume that since nobody's on the call and nobody has emailed me any questions, you guys are doing pretty well. Abby did email me with a concern because I had not updated her grade. I believe that was taken care of. Please check everything that you've turned in that I've graded and let me know right away if you've made any changes in what you've submitted and I did not regrade that. I thought I had. Abby emailed me and I was able to take care of that. I hope that it's taken care of. So let me know. We should be winding up with everything now. And I would like everybody to work as well as they can. I've already had some consultations with students who have asked me about their work. They've sent me pictures of what was going on. And I told them what I thought would help. And that has been really good. I want you to spend as much time as you possibly can refining your projects and working on that last project, which is revisiting your sculpture with all the information that you, or with all the learning you have regarding color and texture. Remember, a little is okay, more is better, and a lot can become profound. If for nothing else, your audience will wonder why you put so much energy into adding that texture or color. And some of the more successful projects have been people painting it, adding texture, painting that, adding more texture. Some of the least successful is when somebody decides, oh, I'm going to use a bead texture, I'm going to glue some beads on, and they only glue 4 or 5 on. What is successful is when they glue large beads on, let that dry, color it, glue medium-sized beads on, let that dry, color it, and then add small size beads. So again, some is barely okay, more is a lot better, and then a lot is profound. So just keep that in mind. One of the questions I got was about color schemes, and the person had started applying color. They were a little bit unsure of themselves, but they were going in a really good, solid direction. And I just advised them to put a lot more on. And sometimes it's good to start with opaque color and then use more translucent color as you add layers. You can also add layers of color with every texture that you apply, or make sure that the texture is color as well. What we want is to just apply as much as we can of color and texture and make these really exceptional. I'm going to tell you a story. Several years ago, somebody was doing the paper mache, and you could tell that their heart just was not in it. I don't have any pictures to share with you. When they did their sculpture, they knocked the corners off and just left it at that. Then when they applied paper mache, they made the paper mache, just made long strips of newspaper with the paper mache and just draped it over the sculpture. So it looked like a block with wide strings dangling down. And then when I asked them to add color and texture, they spray painted it, and then they glued like 7 beads on it, and that was it. It was really awful. It was terrible. I hope that the person has done better things since then. But it's just when the heart is not in it, you are left wishing that the person had tried just even a tiny bit harder. And it was sad that was not the case. So I am, let's see. Okay. I'm sorry, I was just checking the date for this because we almost always have one or two people on this call live and nobody's showing up. So I want to share with you, these are going to be both by Natalia. And I just want to watch them with you. And then we are, I'm going to talk about each one a little bit. So let me do the screen share thing. All right, here we go.
By Abby Brewer, and it is her color and texture tiles piece. It looks to me that the artist has used several different mediums to create the different textures found on these cubes. From what I can tell on her more colorful cube, it looks like she has used a mixture of different colored masking or washi tape, either painted or cut out images, and what appears to me to be either colored construction paper or tissue paper. As for her golden monochromatic cube, it appears to me that she has used sunflower seeds, needles of some sort, buttons, some sort of star material, sticks or toothpicks, and what looks to be like popcorn, maybe crumpled up paper. When looking at these cubes, I would say that they are abstract and that the noodles and sunflower seeds and the buttons feel like the predominant textures, and that the predominant colors with these pieces are gold, blue, orange, red, and a yellow green. When looking at the two cubes, my eye is immediately drawn to the gold cube with all the really fun textures, specifically the side that has the noodles, the sunflower seeds, and the star-shaped items. The mood that I get from looking at this piece is a whimsical chaos, and I think the artists achieve this mood with the many different textures they have chosen and the use of placement and arrangement of these textures. To me, the golden cube almost seems otherworldly to me, and I think that is due to the whimsical nature. I would also say that the sense of chaos is created by the sheer amount of textures bunched up next to each other. They almost overlap when you get to the edges. I would also say that on the colored cube, that sense of chaos is created by the way the colors and or shapes are arranged in conjunction with the tape and some of the images found underneath them. When interpreting this piece, I would say that the gold cube is more formal than conceptual, as there aren't really any historical or social references visible within the cube, and I'm not really encouraged to interpret or come to an overarching theme when looking at it. So I would say in this case, the process and the finished product is more important than the meaning of this cube. However, for the more colorful cube, I am unsure, as there are some recognizable symbols such as a skeleton and an apple, or maybe another piece of fruit, and what looks to be like diamonds and a cactus, which in the world around you, some of which you cannot control, or it may be interpreted as we all die one day, possessions don't really matter. So the colorful cube could be conceptual or formal. And evaluating these cubes, my initial thought was that they're both fun and intriguing and interesting to look at. And I thought to myself that they both seem abstract and formal. However, upon looking further at the colored cube,
I'm sorry about that. The dogs are barking. Sigh. I don't know why. Hold on just a second. No. I hope you guys aren't hearing too much about the dogs barking. I just clapped my hands a bit and told them to stop. It's probably not going to do any good, but I'm trying. All right, so we're going back to Natalia's.
there are several ways the few recognizable symbols could be interpreted. I think the artist had obviously a good use of texture, and I particularly enjoyed the way they were arranged. I think the artist choosing to spray the whole cube gold really unified the whole piece. I also feel like the artist had good use of contrast between the two cubes and between all the different color tiles on their colored cube. I think that these pieces do have intrinsic value as they're both beautiful and intriguing to look at. Overall, I think the artist did a great job, and it's a fantastical, whimsical, texturally rich piece.
I think that that is an excellent review. I thought Natalia did absolutely excellent. One thing that I really appreciated is that it felt to me like she had the questions in front of her and she was just going right down the line, answering each of the questions. It feels like she had either written this out or done something beforehand so that she knew exactly what she was going to say once she started recording. And I thought that that made it so that it flowed really smoothly. Uh, it was a very formal presentation, which sometimes I'm very grateful for, especially with something like this when you're doing a critique. It can really help to be rather formal about it. And I could tell exactly when she went from description to analyze, from analyze to interpret, and from interpretation to evaluating. She did a really great job. One of the things that impressed me is just in the interpret section, different symbols and things like that. She very carefully analyzed and addressed every aspect of both cubes, talking about the shapes of the elements used to make the texture and talking about even the recognizable elements that went in for the color cube. That was really good because it took me a bit of looking before I saw the skeleton and apple and other things that she talked about specifically. That's evidence of really tight, close observation, which I really appreciate. So I think all in all, that turned out, that was really well done.
So this,
Okay, and I am trying to open up the next one. This is also by Natalia,
when
and this is a self-critique I want to share with you.
looking at this piece, it appears to me that the artist has used wooden popsicle sticks in combination with hot glue to create the structural body of this piece. It also looks like the artist has used some sort of clear plastic or a vellum maybe in which they have drawn black lines to create the skin of this piece. It appears to me to be an abstract piece made of varying pyramid or kite-like structures that have been arranged and connected in a zigzag sort of pattern. When looking at this piece, my eyes are immediately drawn to the different sections front of the piece to the back of the piece. I think that I would say the mood I get from this piece is reminiscent of an industrial art piece with its geometric forms variances of lines used. I think that the mood of this piece was achieved from the stark contrast of the body having pieces of skin on it versus the nodules of the pyramid kite-like structures that don't have the skin on it. In addition to the variety and repetition of the lines that are on the plastic pieces. When trying to interpret the meaning of this piece, I would say that this piece seems to be a more formal piece as it appears to be abstract and there are no social or historical reference or symbols within this piece that lead me to conclude a specific thing or meaning upon looking at the piece. As well as it appears to me that the form and the way the piece was created appears to be the most important part about the piece. When evaluating this piece, I find it interesting to look at and find that the way that the light enters the piece on the parts of the frame that have no skin, you are able to see the shadows of the geometric forms, and I feel like that really adds to the depth of this piece. I think that the artist has good use of line in the different plastic panels and the way the nodules have been built in place. I think that this piece has good variety in how the lines and nodules have been arranged in place. It helps the piece to be more interesting to look at. The use of contrast in this piece between the panels that have skin versus those that do not, as well as the transparent skin versus the solid wood of the popsicle, really helps the skin to pop out when looking at the piece. I also found this piece to have good shape and rhythm. It helped the piece to look more aesthetically pleasing. I think that the artist did a good job involving the viewer with the use of both positive and negative space, in addition to how you as the viewer could walk around the piece and see the different angles and shadows being cast. I would say overall that this is a good abstract contemporary piece.
I think that is another excellent critique by Natalia. And it was on her own work. And that is something that I think is really remarkable to me. Whenever, remember when I asked at the very beginning to you to do the best you could to pretend that you're a stranger to the piece? Natalia did an excellent job of doing that. She was very clinical. She removed herself emotionally from it. And what I appreciated about that was that she was able to talk about the industrial structure behind the piece, the exterior references or references, or without including any assumptions that only the artist would have had. That is a really difficult thing to do, and Natalia did an exceptional job of that. Again, she had a list of items to go down that she made observations about and went on. That showed that it was very well organized, very well put together, and really nicely done with that. So that was an exceptional way to do the whole thing. A very formal critique and very thorough. So again, really well done. So far, everything that I've seen that people have turned in has been really well done. So these are important. Get them done as soon as you possibly can. I have not seen any more PowerPoints that people have turned in. What I have seen has been really good, and I've shared with you everything that I've seen. I'm really impressed with that. I would really appreciate it if you can get those done this week. That would be really nice, because then you wouldn't have to worry. You're not going to have to worry about it, the last moment of finals. Everything possible, all the assignments, all the modules should be done that Sunday night before finals. That's the final due date. So get everything done that you possibly can. Again, I'll be finishing up grading by tomorrow night, I hope, and so that you guys have time to go over and redo stuff if you need to. Again, anything that hasn't been turned in, you may get a 0 for it. All that means is I do that so that Canvas can tell you that you need to turn it in. As soon as you turn it in, then I will grade it for real. And everybody that has redone stuff and returned it in has gotten more points when they returned in the updated file. There's been a couple of people that accidentally resubmitted things, but they submitted an earlier file and it overwrote what they had done, and they quickly discovered that. And after I said something, they turned the updated file in, which is really nice. And whenever you resubmit on Canvas for a particular assignment, you do not, it doesn't add to the previous, it overwrites the previous. So if you're redoing, for example, quizzes, you have to either retake the entire quiz, or when I ask you to fix specific questions, you might just want to fix them in the comments. If you do that though, Canvas doesn't tell me. So please email me whenever you redo an assignment. I'm really looking forward to seeing people's PowerPoints. And I'm hoping next week we are also going to go over reports from people on their service projects that they did. I think that'll be exciting to see what people have done. 5 people elected to do service projects as a quarter of the class. That is exceptional. Really, I'm really looking forward to finding out what people did. And everybody else has been doing a really thorough job in researching their artists that they picked and writing their final papers. So yeah, keep it up. Things are looking really good. And again, any zeros, just turn it in. And lower grade than you want, just read the comments and resubmit. All right. Thank you very much. That is pretty much all I have for today. So it is a really short meeting today, mostly because there's nobody entertaining who joined me on the call. You're just stuck with boring me. So I hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful week. Please make sure that you ask me any questions and share any concerns with me. And if you feel that things are getting out of hand towards the end of the term and you're feeling stressed, please make a point to reach out to the accommodations office and see what they can do that might be able to help. I am committed to doing whatever it takes to help you succeed as an artist and as a student. So please let me know how I can help you. Thank you very much. And I hope you have a wonderful week and a wonderful weekend.